In section 2 of the ISA, there are quite a few separate bits of paper you will need to look at. One is called a secondary data sheet, which is divided into 4 separate sets of results known as case studies 1, 2, 3 and 4. Questions will be asked about these case studies. Here's an example question. You can see that you're given a hypothesis and asked to refer to case studies 1, 2 and 3. Let's look at them. Here is case study 1, case study 2 and case study 3. The question asks, explain whether or not the results in each of those case studies supports the hypothesis. And it asks for full marks for the candidate to use examples of the data given in the case studies in the explanation. Before we look at a student response, pause and decide for yourself whether you think case studies 1, 2 and 3, separately of one another, support the hypothesis given. So, let's now look at a student response. A comment on case study 1, a comment on case study 2, a comment on case study 3. All of that for 3 marks. Pause again and read the comments carefully for each case study. Do they agree with what you thought when you looked at the case studies? And has appropriate examples from the results of each case study been used in the answer? You may wish to flick back in the video as well as pausing to look again at those case studies. So the comment for case study 1 was that the candidate felt the results did support the hypothesis because as weight was increased, so extension increased. That is a correct statement. It's what we call a simple correct statement because no data was used from the case study to evidence the comment. So it gets some credit, but not full credit. The candidate said for case study 2 that it also supported the hypothesis. Again, they described as weight increased, so did mean length. But look at the extra. Data as evidence. It looks good. Unfortunately, when we go back to the case study, the candidate has missed something subtle. As the weight increases, although the dependent variable also increases, it appears to level off. The increase going down the far right column gets less and less. And really, the candidate needs to have commented on that fact and maybe, for example, come up with some specific extra detail to show that they've looked at the data carefully. So again, a simple comment missing something in the data. Finally, they said for case study 3 that it did not support the hypothesis because the wrong independent variable had been investigated. If we go and look at case study 3, it's certainly true that the weight was not the independent variable, so this case study cannot be used to comment on a hypothesis that weight added affects extension. So in this case, the candidate is right. All that writing has scored the candidate just 1 mark, because unfortunately the candidate needs to make a correct statement about all 3 case studies and provide level of detail for each case study.